In a recent interview, actress Emma Roberts, who plays Mary Parker in Madam Web, decided to talk about the failure of that movie, and she basically blames internet culture and memes as to why this movie failed. Now, I think there's a lot of reasons why this movie probably failed, and I don't think internet culture and memes and other stuff like that online could account for a movie failing like that. In fact, I think it could actually be a reason why some movies succeed, but I will get more on that in a little bit. But first, let's just look at this article from IGN. It's talking about what she actually said during this interview. Emma Roberts has attributed Madam Web's poor box office performance and critical reception to internet culture and everything being made into a joke. Speaking to Variety, Roberts, who played Mary Parker in the movie, weighed in on Madam Web flopping, saying that it didn't think online reaction to it helped matters. One line of dialogue in the trailer went viral after people poked fun at it, and that line didn't even make it into the final cut of the movie. Okay, yeah, that's true. Now, I do think people having a negative reaction to the trailer could impact the opening weekend because, after all, the whole point of the trailer is to try to get people to see the movie in theaters. And if people don't think it looks good because of the marketing, well, that's kind of on the studios. But even then, if the movie is in fact good, you can actually get good word of mouth for a movie, because there's lots of times I see a trailer, I think the movie looks terrible. People tell me, it's like, no, it's actually a good movie. You need to check it out. The trailer doesn't do it any justice. So I check it out myself, and it's like, yeah, it's actually enjoyable. But that's not really what happened when it came to this movie. That's why I don't think this excuse really flies, but let's continue. There was no secret. It's about doing something goodish and really goodish, and it's hitting at the right time. Robert said, "I'm not intimidated by failure. I'm not intimidated by people having any negative thoughts about something. I personally really loved Madam Web. I really enjoyed the movie. I thought everyone in it was great. The director, S.J. Clarkson, I think did an amazing job. She's the reason I wanted to do the movie." And she goes on to say, if it wasn't for internet culture and everything being made into a joke, I think that the reception would have been different, she added. And that's what bums me out about a lot of stuff. Even stuff that I've done is people just make such a joke out of everything now. And yes, people are going to poke fun at certain things and have fun with it. That's kind of the point. Like, look at Deadpool and Wolverine. They're trying to basically embrace that aspect of internet viral marketing by almost like making it a meta joke in and of itself, which is something that I don't think is going to hurt that movie. In fact, I think it's probably going to help it for quite a bit. We can all remember the Dune popcorn buckets. I don't think those are necessarily the reason why the movie succeeded, but it did get people talking about the movie in a way that wasn't necessarily deprecating to the movie itself. It actually probably helped it to an extent because people wanted to go see it because they wanted to get the Dune popcorn bucket. And let's not all forget what happened last summer with Barbenheimer, how that basically was an internet meme just centered around those two very different movies that just happened to be released at the same time. But because of that, a lot of people credit the whole Barbenheimer phenomenon with why the movies ultimately succeeded as well as they did. Now, I'm not saying that's entirely why these movies succeeded, because if both those movies were crap or one of them was crap, then it probably wouldn't have done nearly as well as it did. But the fact of the matter is, it got a lot of people talking about the movie, and it got a lot of buzz surrounding it in a way that was kind of fun and positive about the movie. And then when people saw them, they enjoyed the movie. They told their friends, more people came and saw it, and more people embraced the whole hype surrounding it. So that was ultimately a good thing for the movie. But what we saw with Madam Web wasn't anything like that. Yeah, we got a lot of people talking about it online, but it wasn't done in a positive way. And that's why the movie had such a pretty bad opening. But even then, if there was a good word of mouth surrounding the movie, then I think it would have succeeded. But ultimately, we saw that that wasn't the case, because you can look right here on Rotten Tomatoes, a 57% for audiences and 11% for critics. So maybe the critics were just review bombing it or something like that, because that's a low score. And the only time you can actually get low scores apparently is when it's being review bombed, or maybe just the movie wasn't that good. So the marketing for the movie failed, and it didn't really excite people to want to see it. And the people who did see it didn't seem to give it much praise. And that's ultimately why the movie failed. You look at the numbers right here. On an $80 million budget, it brought in just over $100 million globally, so not a very good haul, all things considered. But one thing about this movie is it did find some life on Netflix, and it actually broke into their top 10 charts when it came out on Netflix. So it seemed like people were interested in seeing this movie, or at least just watching the train wreck that was this movie. They just weren't willing to actually pay to see it in theaters. And if that's what you're trying to do, there's certain movies that can find success almost being like ironically an enjoyable movie because it's just so bad that it's fun to watch. I don't necessarily think Madam Web is one of those movies. I just think it was just kind of a bad movie. But still, if people can find enjoyment even just laughing at a movie, well, then that's something. And even if it can actually make some money on streaming services, or it can be successful on streaming services or on home video for the people who still buy home video, and I advocate that people do still buy physical media because I personally do, but that can actually breathe new life into a movie. And there's lots of movies that ultimately failed at the box office that found new life and had a cult following because of it was actually an enjoyable movie. I'm not saying this is going to be one of those movies. It's probably not even going to be one of those like so good that it's bad. I think this is just kind of a forgettable film, and I can appreciate Emma Roberts trying to defend it in some way because maybe she did enjoy it. I'm not going to tell people what they can and cannot enjoy. I'll just say my own opinions, whether I think something's good or bad, or whether I enjoyed it or not. But even then, I still enjoy some movies that are really bad. I maintain that I really like the 1993 Super Mario Brothers, even though I know that's a bad movie, because I don't care. I still had fun watching it as a kid, and I still have like a nostalgic feeling for it now. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. And if people get that same reaction to Madam Web, that's fine. But just don't try to make excuses for why the movie failed, because movies fail all the time, whether they're good or bad. And that's just the way things go. But let me know what you think about all this in the comment section below. And also, what movies do you know are bad movies that you still enjoy? I'm not going to say a guilty pleasure, because you shouldn't feel guilty about enjoying a movie even if it is bad, but comment below what you think is a good bad movie. And also, if you haven't already, make sure you click that subscribe button if you want to stay up to date with the latest entertainment news. And don't forget to click that like button and share the video because it helps out with the channel. Thank you.